So I go through the surgery and in January, and I didn't die. And I woke up and I had no feeling from my belly button down my left leg, and my foot looked like this. I didn't want to believe that, this was a serious problem. I kept believing that I was going to get better. 2 years later, I had major back pain, and I ended up going to another doctor. He told me both of my hips were disconnected. I ended up having another surgery on my hip, and the renowned doctor wanted to use this brand new device that was brought over this country from England. It was supposed to be the best hip in the world. So I let him put this device in my leg, and about 6 months later, the hip failed again.
I was at the hospital. All I remember is they said they were going to have to graft skin. And after we kind of laughed about that, because we all know where it usually comes from, they finally told me that it wasn't going to come off my butt, and they took it off my wrist and put it on my palm. So ever since this day, since it was taken off my wrist where it grows hair, where you normally grow hair, my palm grows hair now.
This scar right here I got cut with my own knife. Me and my boyfriend was playing, and he had my knife, and he hit me, accidentally cut me with my own knife. I think that motherfucker did it on purpose.
And there was a hole, not all the way through, but as big as a $50 in the palm of my hand. And when I looked down in, I could see, I don't know how it didn't go all the way through, because I could see a good ½ inch into my hand. And I could see things moving when I moved my finger. It was filling with blood. The doctor, what he did is, I thought he was gonna graft some skin onto this because there was a giant hole here. He put a lot of medicine in it, bandaged it up, told me to come back the next day because there was still sulfur and metal particles in it. And he told me to come back next day and they would clean it out some more and sew it up. So I'm thinking the next day I'm gonna come in there and they're gonna take a slice out of my ass and slap it onto my hand and sew it on, and my hand's gonna be fine. What they did in reality was I had a hole as big as a silver dollar in the palm of my hand, and they just took the skin from the top and the skin from the bottom and went and sewed it up, and I walked around like this for 6 months before it finally started opening. I asked the doctor, am I gonna be a freak now or what?
I didn't want to be the experiment anymore. I didn't want that. I didn't want perfection anymore. I just wanted to be able to quit having surgeries. And I also came to realize that none of the doctors were God. None of them had that. Nothing was ever going to be as good as what was originally given to me.
I picked up a couple of books on flying saucers, and one of those was a George Adamski book, and I happened to open the book up at a certain page, and on that page it mentioned that when Adamski was entering the flying saucer, one of the guards at the door stopped him and grabbed his hand and examined his thumb very, very closely, and then waved him on and let him enter the ship. Adamski mentions in the book that he does not know why that the guard at the door did that. He never mentions it anywhere else in the book. But when I read that, emotionally I responded, and I knew that that had something to do with my thumb.
We went to the beach to tell everyone like if I was okay and stuff, and like all these people that were watching me before, all the people that I didn't know that were watching me before, they came up to me and they gave me watermelon, and they were all asking me what happened there around the car. We went back to my house and they ate the fish that night, but I didn't eat it because I don't like fish.
I'm in a wheelchair. I got my leg up like this, my arms in a sling like this. I was looking pretty beat up and haggard. And the judge says, why are you bringing this guy into my courtroom looking like this? What did he do? The original charge was attempted auto burglary. Somebody had called saying I was trying to steal their car. They never found any fingerprints of mine on the car. I didn't have any burglary tools or any way to even steal a car If I got inside the car, by the time I got to court, I had like 8 felony assault with a deadly weapon, assault and battery on a police officer, assault and battery on another police officer. His dog wasn't obeying his commands, so the other cop that came up onto the scene had to pull the dog off of me, and the dog attacked him and chewed his arm up. So he was pressing charges against me because the dog attacked him. Of all these felony charges pressed against me by two different police officers. And I was looking at a lot of time. But what it's going to come down to is your word against this police officer's word. And who do you think they're going to believe? I did my 8 months. I took the deal. My lawyer advised me to do it. Everybody said, oh, you should have sued him. Oh, you should have went to trial. Oh, you should have did this. You know, I did what my lawyer told me I should do in the situation. Although I wanted to, of course, everybody wants to fight the system, but that's the system. That's our justice system today. You know, I had to plead guilty to something I didn't even do, you know, because this cop fabricated this story to cover his ass because of what he had done to me.
I was always known to be very quiet and very shy. I was very soft-spoken. If I would speak at all, I was very aware of my scars. As I got into junior high, there was a time when some of the kids considered me retarded. I got to the point where I started making fun of my tongue because I was so uncomfortable. I never said anything to my parents. I don't even think they know about that. I just went home and cried to myself. Thought it was so obvious when people would talk to me. Instead of looking directly into my eyes, sometimes I would catch them staring into my mouth, and then I would turn away to avoid any type of contact with them seeing the scarring on my tongue. I would get asked sometimes about the scarring on my neck, but when they would stare into my mouth, I would turn away and avoid any type of, you know, conversation of, you know, concerning my tongue.
It occurred to me that if there's anything of truth about visitors from outer space or visitors from another dimension, what they may be doing is some type of genetic manipulation. And they could be doing this by either making implants or by genetically checking out an implant that was probably done several 100,000 years ago. And the reason I feel this way is because the thumb itself is not something that really is explainable by anybody who knows the physiology of the human body. The pad lays on the side. If you took even orangutan, gorilla, any kind of animal, and you had him touch his thumb and his small finger together, he would break his thumb. He cannot do that. Man is the only being that is able to do that. And it bespeaks very loudly and very clearly of genetic manipulation somewhere in our history. The human voice box is another. Any doctor will tell you it's pushed in the throat. It does not belong there. There's no room for the human voice box. We're the only animal that speaks. So it appears to be there has been some genetic manipulation. This is my gut feeling, this is my hunch, that some type of implant, that these people who claim that the aliens have made implants on their body, whether it's their hand or their feet or in back of their eyes, that it's something to do with genetic manipulation, and they are not for us or against us, but they're examining their project.
After about 40 surgeries, you know, and that was the 8th hip replacement, I remember coming home and I was just crying and screaming in the car. And I said, what is it you want from me, God? You can slice me and you can dice me. There's nothing you can do to me anymore. You can't hurt me anymore. I've done it. There's nothing else you can do.
But as it turned out over the years, this scar has been an advantage, not really a disadvantage. I can't run very well, and some other things I can't do very well, but it makes for a lot of great stories. And especially go around the VFW club, sit in the bar and hustle some broads. That's all I got, just all shot up in World War II. It's always at least good for a drink, maybe more.